Yeah, send it to me, especially that passport.
What?
That's his what rescue?
Chief executive.
Revive.
Oh.
Just send it to me.
You can send it to yourself in a second.
Okay.
I just need to read one thing. I'm going to give you my phone.
All right.
Hey, we are live. And you guys, I promise you guys, what did we call this?
Something towards something. I put it out there.
It's in the comments field, correct?
No, it's in the
community tab?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's whatever you send me.
Robinhood is an investment.
Okay. 123 people in here. I think we need to go ahead and get it cranking. We are on live. I'm going to clear up a few things that I know people out there have been looking at some of our videos and they have tried to use a little bit of the information that we have gathered. And I'm not saying it's anything like super duper top secret, whatever, but I'm just saying if you're going to use our stuff, give us credit for our stuff. We're Mr. Brando's crew. I think ladies ought to go first.
I am April Beebe.
And I am Mr. Brando. And welcome to the status of the reinstatement of the Iraqi Dinar IQD. Now, I've been going through these chats and I've been going through everything else, and people have been all day telling me, well, not all day, just a few people out there. I've listened to a couple of your videos and you don't know a damn thing you're talking about. Well, if you want to argue with news sources or you want to argue with me reading the news and the news source is wrong, you want to just call on in and then let me talk to you live and correct me where I'm wrong or correct us where we're wrong in the news source of what's going on. So all throughout this, Babe, Bambi, Daza, everybody's going to be putting my phone number up there. So if in some way you find this egregious or you just want to talk stuff and you want to troll, I'm inviting you in to, call. I mean, it's not a big deal. If you're right and I'm wrong, change my opinion. I'll come on the platform. Help me out here so I understand, okay? I also need to clarify something else. Remember, I told you guys that my friend from Iraq told me that Mr. Hamid was going to be the next central bank governor. And I posted the picture up, and that picture was found in the places, remember? Well, I was wrong. He's not going to be the next central bank governor. He is going to be, he was nominated by Sadr to be the president of the council, Sadr Alliance, the president, he has nominated Sadr Alliance, the president of the Council of the Province, Hamid, for the post of the Secretary General of the Council of Ministries. So Mr. Hamid admitted to it today. It was confirmed. He is going to be the actual Secretary General of the Council of Ministries. I'm not going to post his pickup. I've already posted it up. So you guys can go to the community tab and you guys are going to see who he is again. Now, I did post up a picture today of two people.
The name of the show.
Oh, and the name of the show is, why don't you read it to him?
A movement towards the destination.
Mm-hmm. So that movement towards the destination. So everybody's probably wondering who's in the two pictures. Those two pictures today were of Mr. Safana Hamadandi or Mrs. Safana Hamadandi, who is nominated for Mr. Mahandi to be the next Minister of Education, and Mr. Arkan Kedar Wili, who is going to be the next Minister of Justice. Okay? You saw it here first. You didn't see it anywhere else. So if you're going to go out there and take this one, it's in the community tab. You can take it. Yeah, I'm just saying they can take it. You can have it. Now, with that, be sure to monitor the questions right now. And did you want to send yourself that information?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the fall and the rise of the currency is called appreciation. We talked about that last week. The private sector has picked up a signal launched by the King Abdullah at the end of last year, which includes the invitation to benefits of the reconstruction of Syria and Iraq. Things in Syria are moving towards improvement, and the kingdom wishes it all the best. So Syria is even getting on board right now with Jordanian contractors and with some other people, and they're trying to help rebuild Syria and northern Iraq. They're trying to get things pumping because we know Basra is having major problems right now with protesting. The protesting has begun once again. And we also know that these people are not having the basic goods and services they deserve. Al-Sabah also expressed his hope to strengthen cooperation between the Syrian and Jordanian unions and the reconstruction phase of the infrastructure destroyed by terrorism. So ISIS is still kind of running rampant. I know you guys have seen a couple things out there that have been bad. The Czech Republic has adopted a new program aimed at encouraging immigrants from Iraq, Nigeria, Mongolia, Russia, Vietnam to leave Czech Republic and return home. According to the program, any of these countries will voluntarily return to their country, and they will be eligible for a 4,000 euro finance transportation cost. So think about it like from other places. So now countries in Europe are starting to say, we can't substantiate all you being here. We want you guys to kind of go back to your allocated places. That would also kind of help with the consensus of getting people back to their homelands and allowing people to have the opportunity to return home. And they're also going to pay them a little bit of money to do that. So shout out to the European Union for doing it. And they're allowing, the allocation of the program is about 2.3 million euros, 75 cents, for which will cover the asylum fund. And they just want to get the displaced people home. Now, this is a really cool article, and there's been tons of speculation about it. There have been strange movements within the Central Bank of Iraq. Witnesses monitored strange movements within the Central Bank of Iraq for 2 consecutive days. Witnesses said the bank witnessed the entry of cars carrying at night without knowing the type of cargo being taken out of it, pointing out the process lasted 2 consecutive days. The Central Bank of Iraq, located at the capital of Baghdad, was founded in 1947. It was formerly known as the Iraqi National Bank. You can speculate all you want on that. I have no clue. I've asked several people what was going on there. They had some theories, but it wasn't enough really kind of ground-shaking thing that I could bring to you. Remember, I'm only going to bring to you the news that I can prove. If I can't prove it, I'm not going to bring it to you. The monetary policy continues to be a vital issue in the country's economic life. This is another article about the central bank and its objectives to maintain a good monetary policy. You're going to hear lots from the central bank this week because what happens is you go days or weeks without hearing anything from the monetary people, and then all of a sudden, boom, Central Bank of Iraq, a lock. Central Bank of Iraq, a lock. Central Bank of Iraq, a lock. Now, just because I told you guys that I thought a lock was going to be replaced doesn't mean that he's out of the fire. It just means that he's not being replaced right now. And I'm sure Sauter got what he wanted, which was to have his guy as the Secretary General instead of him being the CBI governor. But I'm sure he has somebody else in mind. Now, the monetary policy was extended. The monetary policy was extension of the government's self-deception. Hence, the need for radical reform of the central bank and new law of the banks was issued in 2004, amendments in 2017, which affirmed independence and established its primary role in protecting the country's resources. So what this article is basically telling you is that the central bank is independent of the GOI. Now, you're going to hear people talk a lot about its independence. Independent doesn't mean it can go out there and run amok. It just means that it is able to go out there and make some moves without having to go back and do every single little check and balance. But just like Mr. Governor of Iraq was called to the parliament to answer some questions, if they want to ring your door, they're going to have you stand before the council and you're going to have to give some answers, okay? So they're not totally independent. Now, one big thing that's out there right now, the preservation of the independence of the bank enables its perform its tasks without government intervention and then to make it an effective institution. That's why they have 60 billion in reserves. But with them having 60 billion in reserves, there's a sale of the currency needs a deep understanding in the light of large accusations against the bank without evidence to prove the existence of suspicions of corruption of money laundering or smuggling of currency. So finally, after all this time, Iraq says, you know what, look, these auctions aren't good. I mean, the auctions are bad. There's corruption involved. There's sale of currency involved. It's a waste of public money and funds. And the money that's been wasted through corruption could have rebuilt Iraq probably 20 times over. It's concerned with financial stability, managing a system of national payments, managing foreign reserves, licensing and monitoring of banks, financial institutions, and setting up preventive controls in addition to other tasks. So what they're basically telling you is that even though they know there's some bad stuff going on, they try to throw in some really good fluff so that they know that they want you guys to say, look, we're still doing a good job. They talk about the budget being in a bit of a deficit of a limit of 48 trillion dinars, and 77% of them, 70% of the dinars, of the 48 trillion dinars, 77% of them are outside of the banking system. We heard the other day that I think 70 billion dinars were outside of Iraq. So you guys tell me, if you only got 60 billion dinars in reserves, if you were going to float the currency, it would be only worth, I think in retrospect, my math could be wrong, about maybe a penny. If the math I'm doing is right. Now, that doesn't take into account oil. It doesn't take into account gold. It doesn't take into that. All I'm saying is that for the money they have in their reserves to substantiate about how much currency is out there floating around, it doesn't really hold a lot of value as far as this is monetarily wise. Okay.
You would say about 30 minutes people can call in with their questions.
Yeah, 30 minutes people can call in with their questions. I'm trying to hurry up and go through this.
That's fine. No rush. I'm just telling Kevin.
Okay.
Because he wanted to call.
The oil and gas law will see the light soon. Everybody's been asking me this. The oil and gas law has to take place so the HCL can take place. The oil and gas law takes place, the HCL can take place. Then we know that the citizens are being paid at a nominal amount. Then we can also speculate that they will have some type of purchasing power with that amount, and they will allow those citizens to go out there and buy goods and services that will help them enrich their lives. But more so, the oil and gas law will allow the controversy and disagreements between political forces in the legislature to solve many of the problems between the center and the region of oil and gas and others. Noting the law was modified versions of previous government, more than 110 laws, in hopes that the government to restore them in line with the government programs. Noting that return is subject to the government on the grounds and the law has a financial burden and has reached Parliament to pass. Some of these articles that when I transport them over, they may have been important at the time, but they come up in Arabic, so that doesn't work. Iraq has become a meeting point and its doors are open to cooperation. So even in the summit that they had just right quick in Beirut, everybody knows that it's a lot going on. Iraq's policy is focused on economic openness, extended the hands of friendship and cooperation to all brotherly and friendly countries, and building a network of economic relations that attracting large foreign investment. My question is, you keep attracting large foreign investment, but you won't open up your books of transparency and you will not allow things to ebb and flow out of the country. Now, we've read the BTI report. I haven't read you the SIGIR report. I'm working on that because the latest version of it isn't really comprehensive. Speculators out there say it's been released, and I know I'm going really fast, but I only have so long to do the news. That was about the Barrack Summit. Now, the IMF recently commented on the budget of 2018. I'm going to tell you what they thought. The Monetary Fund, which controls Baghdad's access to over $5 billion in national loans, has come out against Iraq's recently passed 2018 budget, in large part due to decrease of the share allocated to the Kurdistan region. So the IMF has told the Iraq, this is why they're in such a scuttlebutt to get the part of it to get the budget done, is the budget didn't pass the IMF standards. The IMF is really the gatekeepers to everything that we're doing, so they've got to get their stuff right. And Iraq's adherence to regulations, IMF standby agreement, the SBA acts to free up $5.3 billion in Iraqi loans, but they will not do so because they won't pass the budget. Now, it also indirectly allows access to billions more due to the positive efforts on the confidence of investors and business that the IMF partners carry. So if they don't do it, they don't get no money. They do it, they get to be on the international stage, they get to take part in international benefit, and they get lots of money. I think the logical conclusion is that the SBA review cannot be concluded until a new government is in place. Now, if that doesn't solve a lot for you about my other things where I said, well, maybe they've got all these people in place. Maybe they've got people in place. The IMF says, I think the logical conclusion is that the SBA review cannot be concluded until a new government is in place and we have reached an agreement with the new government. The IMF objects to articles in the 2018 budget that diminish Iraqis' economic solvency and reducing tax revenue and other income not related to oil production. The Baghdad voted to reduce the Kurdistan region's annual share to the nation's budget to a roughly 12%, a significant drop from the previous 17% allocation. So it also sounds like the IMF wants the Kurds to get a little bit more of that percentage going before they're actually going to give them any more access to those loans. Very important to note there. Now, here's an interesting article. The three presidents agreed to postpone the completion of the ministry cabinet. So it's funny that they agreed a couple days later to postpone the ministry cabinet, but they went ahead today, and I showed you today that they've already nominated 2 more ministers for that cabinet. So again, I think everything is still just like Sauder negotiating Hamid's position as the Secretary General. I think a lot of negotiations are going on. They don't want to show their hand because of speculation. And like I said, between a seated GOI, a good things going on in the CBI. And between now and another time frame, we're looking at a really, really good spot. The central bank of Iraq objection to monetary policy has continued to be a vital issue in the country's economic life. It is a reflection of general performance of the state and is serious in avoiding difficulties and emerging dilemmas and making them a constant with goals set. Monetary policy was an extension to the government's self-deception, hence the need for radical reform of the central bank. The new law of the bank was issued in 2004, which just tells you again, they're just talking more about banking reform. It needs to be transparent. It needs to be out in the, it needs to be vital because they're suffering a lot of issues because their banking laws, even though they're getting really good and a lot of things are practicing international standard, they need to get their monetary laws in court. I mean, in the same lane as what they want to accomplish internationally. And right now they're not quite there. I already read you this one. Mohammed Saleh. I showed you the picture of the two new ministers. I told you guys they were demonstrating in Basra with the participation of other demonstrators, despite the fall of a number of their colleagues during the recent protest of 2 months ago. So they're ramping back up. Angry demonstrators set fire to a security post near the local government building, and a security force member was injured by stone throwing. Accusations began to circulate without the existence of organized delivery, aggravating the situation and dividing the course of the protest.
That's just me. I'm sending you questions.
Now, what's really, really odd about this, I'm surprised that Mahdi hasn't openly come out and said anything, okay? He hasn't just come out and said, hey, look, I'm going to help you guys out. And those protesters, guess what they're demanding for, people? They're calling on Trump to come in and intervene in Iraq and help the people out. They appealed to the U.S. President Donald Trump to direct the U.S. military to intervene and eliminate what they called armed gangs that steal oil from the province and assassinate demonstrators and activists who took part in recent demonstrations. Now, the UN has stepped in place, and they're saying that there's some atrocities going on. There needs to be more civility with the protesters because I think they're being murdered and stuff in the streets, so it's not good. But we need for some things to happen there. Now, one of the major auditing firms, and I told you guys, didn't we talk about auditing really early on?
Yeah.
I told you guys a lot of the auditing firms were in Iraq going through things, and it was really odd that this came up. The supervisory and audit bodies in the Central Bank of Iraq on Sunday, they held a meeting with the governor of the bank, Alaq, while stressing the need to develop legal framework for the practice of audit and functions and advisory functions. The meeting was held at the central bank, headed by the governor of the bank and attended by the president of the Office of Financial Supervision and the chairman of securities commissions. Now, isn't the chairman of the securities division someone that deals in like stocks also?
Securities, yeah.
Yeah, securities. So there's something going on with maybe the ISX. Maybe that was the rumblings going on at night. Some very sensitive documentation going in and out about securities and stuff like that. They didn't want the world privy to that. And the accountants and auditors and vice president of Iraqi Association of Certified Public Accountants, the representative of international audit companies, KBMG, Ernst & Young, Pricewater.
So basically the big four, our major big four accounting firms,
right? We're all there.
KBMG, Ernst & Young, Deloitte & Touche.
Yeah, but it also says PricewaterhouseCoopers were there.
Yeah, PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Yeah, PricewaterhouseCoopers. That's right. That they were the representatives from all the big four were there. Mm-hmm. They were all inside of this big meeting. And the role played by these companies in different aspects, they said, stressing the need to establish legal framework for audit and advisory functions. So here's my point to that. You say, well, why did you bring that up, Mr. Brando? Because if you were just going to lop your currency and it was never going to hold any value, why would you go through the auditing process? That makes absolutely no sense. You could just lop it, start over, and say whatever, correct? So again, now with that, the Iraqi banking and finance news, the state-owned bank, Trade Bank of Iraq, they won an award. And they had an outstanding performance in service and taking home 2 awards for the international financing. Great job, TBI. U.S. welcomes Georgia's decisions to ban Iran's Mahan Air. Another reason why I tell you that, you're going to say, well, who cares what Germany does to Iran? Well, the more that we isolate Iran, even though they have a big foothold into Iraq, the more you isolate them, the harder it is for them to get money. You know what I mean? I'll let you answer that. Okay. A big thing in Iraq oil and gas news, shares in General Energy were trading up to 6% on Monday after the company that it has reached an agreement to acquire stakes in the Chevron-operated Satar and Ka'ar Dob blocks, and they pictured it above. Canel will acquire 30% equity and sought a license by paying 50% of share ongoing field development costs. Specific production targets is reached together with the success fee payable to achievement of production milestones. Chevron will retain a 50% interest in the Star license, and the Kurdistan regional government will hold the remaining 20%. Janelle's estimate of the total spend up to by the end of 2020 will be $60 million US. They're going to do a lot of drilling. They're getting some licensing done. They're delighted to be chosen as a partner to Chevron. That's a huge coup to them. The agreement, and this is not an MOU. I hear a lot of people talking about these stupid MOUs, memoranda of understanding. First of all, I found out today that is absolute BS. A MOU absolutely means nothing. It's not legal nor binding. It's kind of like a foo-foo, cheer, good job, but it means absolutely nothing, okay? We want to see signed contracts. We want to see legal documentation from now on. We're not settling for the status quo here in this page. A MOU is nothing more than foo-foo bullcrap. Okay, the banking sector in Iraq is growing. Notice how everything today is dominated by the banking sector. The governor of the Central Bank of Iraq said that in Iraq is growing and growing so as to expand the base of different economic trends. And governor of the Central Bank, he pointed the exchange companies represent a large part of this. The process is great work done by the bank companies operating in the country. The exchange companies in Iraq is one of the largest companies now in the level of exchange companies operating in the countries of the world. The radical changes must occur to the budget. We've talked enough about budget. We're almost done here. The exchange company, central bank is maintaining the stability of the exchange rate, which is the goal to achieve real growth and stability, which is the essence of the monetary policy to achieve economic stability in the country and exchange companies. In other words, the bank asked the exchange companies to take a step to assemble companies from forces capable of development and keep pace with global development. Pointing at that, some companies have forgiven for several reasons. Allah said that the world is currently living in an era where these companies cannot just be a small shop that opens a short time to close at a certain time, but they must perform vital work and provide services parallel to a financial institution. So what they're basically saying is these little exchange companies, as good as they are, they need to step it up and become more like a bank. And they need to obtain profits without performing its credit work. So meaning if they're not going to perform loans and stuff like that, they're basically going to get squeezed out. So change those exchange companies to bank companies and make them be on par with the legal standards and the ramifications of the world, and then they will be profitable.
Are we almost done?
Yeah, I'll just read this headline. Saudi Arabia opens 100% wholesale and retail trade for foreigners there in Iraq.
Kenneth Sales, go ahead and call in. He has something important to tell you.
Kenneth does? Go ahead, Kenneth. He was on my Twitter. Kenneth, go ahead and call in. What are these things? Are these on WhatsApp?
So no. Yeah. But I text you questions. So
I'll answer questions while I'm doing this. Archbishop, good morning. Good evening. I'm so happy to be on the beginning of your call. I'm looking for us to go to the bank very soon. What do you think? Bishop, I don't want to play my hand, but yes, I do. My idea is soon and your idea is soon is probably a little different. You know what I mean? I'm not saying days. I'm not saying weeks. I'm not saying months. I'm just saying that I'm hoping that you and we're going to be reliving this. We're going to know what we're going to know here coming up pretty quick. That's all I can tell you there. I'm not saying I know more than anybody else. I'm just telling you pretty quick, we're going to have a good idea of what the heck's going on in the world. And I mean that in a good way. Johnny, hearing that inside trading is going on with China trade deal, did you hear anything? Well, I mean, no, because I don't really put a lot of prudence to the China trade deal unless you're talking about it from a standpoint of it being good for Americans. I think it's good that we put a tariff on China and make them pay a premium for doing business with us. We're upside down with China. We need to hold them accountable for their unfair trade practice that we've been taking advantage of and tax the shit out of them because what they're doing to us is bad. It's bad for Americans. It's bad for our jobs. And do you know there's an actual Chinese law that if they sell you faulty goods, you can't send it back to China? What kind of crap is that? That means they sell you everything. They're not responsible for anything, but they reap all the benefits and profit, all in the sake of Buddhism. And I'm not against being a Buddhist. I'm not for Buddhism, against it. But the state controls everything. They're not godless, but it's acting like they don't believe in anything, and money is their god. So, yeah, I hope the trade deal goes through, and I hope we stick it right up their butt.
Yeah, I just sent that to you just there.
That's him.
Oh, it is?
That's him.
Oh, okay.
Metroid Vietnamese Dong is doing a lot of movement. They have interviews with the president of Vietnam. Good. You guys, if you want to post to me or send to me any Vietnamese Dong news, on Mr. Brando on Facebook or send it to my Gmail, email. I'll look it over. I'll post it up. I'm all for the Dong. I'm all for it. I just don't think it's going to go the exact same time as the dinar.
Oh, wait a minute. I was supposed to send you something. Hold on. I just thought about it. You said that because somebody sent you something.
Okay, y'all. So I'm done with that. I've got my phone lines open for calls. I'm going to go and see if I can jump in the chat with you guys for a few minutes, see what's crack-a-lacking.
Can you go to your email? Someone sent you. Oh,
sorry, y'all.
I
mean, email for what?
Somebody sent you something.
To my email now?
Earlier today. I thought I screenshotted and sent it to you, but I guess I didn't.
I can't go back.
Here. No, it's right here.
Bubba Jab, everybody got that intel. I don't have any intel. I just got the news, Bubba.
Read that.
Hey, Mr. Brando, thanks for all you do. Sent this via Facebook. Mr. BB gave me your email, so I'm here about the investment as you guys, by the faith manifested. As I was learning more about Executive Order 13-303 Mr. Brando, I found the link, which denies. Oh, yeah, I already answered you on Mr. Brando. Remember, Executive Order 13-303, if you read what the thing says, it has a broad scope of what that ownership is in Iraq, but it is not inclusive to the oil company. I mean, it is inclusive to the oil companies, but it's a broad stroke. So if you go to Mr. Brando, I already answered that.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I saw the email. And
wait a minute, why is this?
Okay, here, read this one here. Mr. Brando, your contact was wrong about the CBI governor. Are you sure he's good source info?
Oh, of course. He wasn't wrong. I mean, yeah, he was absolutely wrong. But that's who they had brought up as being the CBI governor. Now, here's the whole thing. No, he didn't make CBI governor, but he ain't waiting tables at Papados either. He's the Secretary General of the COM. So, I mean, he got a better job, really. Mm-hmm. He's basically one of the higher-ups in the whole Council of Ministry. So, no, he's not the CBI governor, but he ain't doing too bad. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying, no, I'm wrong. Absolutely wrong. Who
makes the official decision on the reinstatement? IMF, World Bank, or CBI?
IMF, CBI, United States of America. They all have to sign off on it.
Okay. Yep. Kenneth he had a Chase Bank story.
Yeah. Kenneth, if you could call in, you want to tell me, you've told it to me on Twitter, but I need you to call in and tell it to me again.
You're being silly.
No, Miss BB's not drinking this evening, so I'm just having my celebratory water.
Yeah, I gotta go to work in the morning, you guys. I can't be.
So do I. Oh, the statement that Kenneth Sells made was, you want me to read it?
Go ahead, yeah, read it.
Since Kenneth isn't coming? Okay. So Kenneth sent me.
Did he send it to you directly?
I mean, I don't know how to find it. Oh, there it is. Kenneth said this. Well, I don't know. Well, hang on here. Let me go back a few. I agree. Kenneth Sale said this. Okay, cool. We were talking about, I said I wanted to see the donor conference money, the Minister of Interior and the Minister of Defense seated. And he said, my heart, and he asked me about when my time frame was. I told him what I thought. He goes, I was thinking the same thing. He goes, I'm enjoying the ride. Keep up with the intel. He said, okay, cool. I will be following. I had a friend go into Chase Bank, and they were supposed to get some memos Saturday. He said the lady had been in training for the RV. She called a coworker at another branch here in Georgia, and he confirmed. Let's see. That's what he said. And he said that he had the girl's name. he had everything, and he was willing to call in. And he said, well, it wouldn't be insider trading. It would just basically be the coup of all coups.
Well, it just means they're getting training on the RV.
Yeah, and if that bank doesn't sell the dinar, it's actually not insider trading at that point. They'd have to actually sell it for it to be anything of value. But
they don't sell it right now, though.
They don't. So, I mean, it's not insider trading, so to speak.
They sell Dong, bro.
They do sell Dong.
Dong.
No, part of the government was completed, not all of it. But the pathway to our destination is this. You got to understand that when they already put stuff in print, it's already happening. They don't put stuff in print that's not going on, or they don't put forward. So when they put that understanding about intel or what they were doing out there, there was a real push for it. Now, they're going to negotiate. This is Iraq. It's not just dealing with Republicans or Democrats. You're dealing with Sunnis and Shias and Muhandis. You're dealing with all these different functions that all want their way, the Kurds, the Christians. So there's not going to be perfect intel. That's why when first thing I told you this morning, no, he did not make it to CBI governor, but he did make it to Secretary General of the COM. I mean, he wasn't, like I said, he ain't waiting tables at Papados, and there ain't nothing wrong with that, but it ain't that.
Mr. Brando,
I read you the bank story. I told you about that. Mr. Brando, your contact was wrong. I read you that one.
Yeah. I sent you that one. They were supposed to be for us, just the elite. I guess God intervened. That seems to be a large percent of Christians in it who are going to be blessed to kingdom birth.
Rail Rider, I'll say it one more time. I know it was kind of odd, but no, he is the Secretary General of the COM. So yeah, I mean, his intel wasn't perfect, but I mean, he wasn't like he was in charge of a province. So now he's the Secretary General of the whole COM. It ain't too bad. I mean, not saying it's perfect. He ain't that, but they dislike a lock in Iraq. So something's going to happen to him where he will be replaced. Maybe not by him, but by someone else. And we'll tell you who we know. Nobody has a good source in this whole chat. Lucas, why don't you call me up, Quintana, and educate me, brother? Phone number's right below you. Babe just posted it. If you've got something you want to share it.
I read today that the NSA held it up from happening on the 19th. Truth or not? NSA?
Mm-hmm. What would the NSA to have anything to do with the Iraqi dinar? Could someone explain that one to me, though? Because they have
that's just what someone wants to.
No. And I'm not trying to be rude to them, but please explain to me how the NSA, because they don't have anything that does with it. Rail Rider, I've answered your question like 4 times, my brother. Rachel, I'm in a group, and this is what I'm being told. Rachel, call in and tell us what your group is telling you. Phone number is what?
903-392-9968.
Rachel, call in. Tell me what your group's telling you. Rail Rider, call in.
Is your phone's working, right?
Phone's on.
Okay.
No one's calling in tonight, y'all. You guys are going to make this a short call tonight.
Mr. Brando, in your opinion, what are we waiting on at this point? Is it Iraq or the U.S.?
Both. Okay, y'all, I want to hint at something, but I can't. So I'm going to say it like this. There are some major goings on in the financial world that aren't satisfied. And when those gratifications have been met by certain entities, a push will happen. Will that push happen in a week? No. Will that push happen in 2 weeks? No. But I will tell you, it's going to happen. And it's quite marvelous what's going on. Okay?
Here's Metroid.
Metroid. Oh, there's Okay, hang on. Let me get this.
At 9:34.
Metroid, you're right. Yeah, they're ignorant people, and there's ignorant people everywhere. You can't help that. all we can try to do is help educate them, tell them what we know. So that if they're in this investment, and I would agree to this to a large degree, a lot of people that are skeptical about it, they're just on here because it's a platform where they feel like they can be heard. You're live.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello.
Hi, is Mr. Brando?
Yep.
That's me. Hey, would you turn down your TV? Because you can hear us in the background.
Hello?
Hello? Hey, you're live. Who is this, Rachel?
This is Rachel.
Right on, Rachel. Thanks for calling in.
Hello? Okay, so I'm in a group. I've been in the group for about 5 years, and I had to submit all my documents, and I have been told that the funds are going to be released tomorrow.
Okay, funds as in what type of funds? Like the whole banking funds everywhere?
Right, like the Zimbabwe, the Dong, and the Dinar, because they're all in the same basket.
Right on. I mean, now I'm going to ask you a question, okay? Because you're in a group and I'm not. So I'm not privy to the information you have. When they ask you guys, like, things are going to be released, do they, because now this has become a little bit of an interview. I don't mean to put you on the spot. Do they tell you, like, hey, because of this documentation, this is going to happen?
No. They sent an email.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can send you the email.
No, Rachel, I don't want to get you in trouble or nothing like that. I'm just trying to understand, because I've never been a part of a group, so I don't know how it works. And a lot of the people out there have never been a part of a large group. So how did you get in the large group?
A friend of mine was in the group, and they were still accepting people.
Right on, cool.
I got in 5 years ago.
Okay, cool. No, and Rachel, don't take this as a Spanish Inquisition. We're just trying to understand that people that aren't in groups talk. Okay, I'm not going to make you feel crazy or nothing like that. Okay.
That's fine. I'm just telling you what I know. And that's all I know. I don't know specific details. I just know that it was very important for me to update all my documents, get them notarized and stuff like this.
Do they hold your currency or do you?
I hold my currency.
Good. That sounds legit.
Yeah.
That sounds legit to me.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, can you name the group?
All the serial numbers down and,
right.
Send in, all the documentation, all my authentication certificates and gifting letters and stuff like that. I had to send all that in.
So they ask you for your they ask you for the certificates of
authenticity.
Authenticity?
Yes.
So they're on the same page as me with that, right? They believe you got to have stuff like that, or you should have stuff like that because it's important.
Right. So I had to provide receipts for everything that I purchased. Because if you turn it in and it ends up being stolen, then you're going to get in trouble. So I had to provide all my receipts for everything I purchased and gifting letters.
Wow.
And I had to get them notarized.
Can you tell me the name of the group? No? If you don't feel comfortable, it's cool.
Yeah, don't.
No, I mean, I don't mean, okay, I take that one back. Rachel, I take that one back. Okay, I take that one back.
Mr. King's group.
Okay, right on. Are they are you in New York?
I'm in New York, yes.
Right on. I love the city. I hope you're in New York proper. I love the city.
I'm not in the city though. I'm in a very small town, but apparently we're gonna have to get an appointment and go to Reno. To exchange, from my understanding.
Why Reno?
That could change. I'm not sure.
So they want you. Do you have to fly to Reno to do your exchange?
Yeah, it's through Wells Fargo.
I was gonna say because Wells Fargo is headquartered in Reno. See, in retail banking, I know that their headquarters is in Reno. I know that for a fact. Interesting. Well, anything else you can share, or do you feel comfortable sharing? If not, I'm good.
That's about it. That's all I know.
Well, Rachel, you're the bomb.com. I really appreciate your call.
I want to know how it goes. Like when she goes in front of me.
Hey, would you keep us updated? Would you keep us updated? Like on Wednesday, would you let us know?
I will.
Awesome. Well, hey, y'all, we're going to hear back from Rachel hopefully Wednesday evening with some more updates. So please don't hold her feet to the fire if something doesn't happen between tomorrow and the next day. Allow things to transpire.
I'm just saying what's been told to me. So.
Well, Rachel, you're awesome.
It's so nice to talk to you, Mr. Brando.
You too. It's good to meet you, and I can't wait to have you be another caller on the show, okay?
All right.
Right on, Rachel. Everybody shout out Rachel out there and thank her for being brave and calling in.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
All right, no problem. Have a good evening.
You too. Blessings. Bye-bye. You guys see, if I say call in, I'm not saying call in because I'm going to make fun of you or ridicule you. I'm saying is I'm not a member of a group. I'm curious about some things.
Well, yeah, I just think, there's over 400 people out there in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
I know I wouldn't feel comfortable about giving out certain information.
Well, yeah, that's why I try to keep it as generic as possible.
And when she, when Rachel hesitated, I could understand her sentiment without her saying anything. Like I'm like, I got you.
Because
that's very personal information. So interesting.
And who might this be?
Hey.
I know who it is. It's
Press 2.
Hey, babe.
Hey.
Hey, babe.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
I'm fine. Georgia wanted me to call. Is this a good time?
Yeah, it's an excellent time. Would you please tell them about the investment opportunities you got going on?
Yes. George, we've been talking about this for a number of years now. We're going to do an investment club post revaluation, and according to the SEC rules, you can't have more than 100 people in an investment club to invest in Iraq because Iraq is going to be booming for the next 15 to 20 years. So we want to get it started just immediately as soon as the revaluation happens. You're gonna have to invest $1 million to $5 million into the club. We want to be able to go in and do massive buying on stock exchange and construction. And I actually have a Gmail account if they want to put their name on the list.
Hey, babe, would you also put your Gmail? And look, y'all. Miss BB's gonna hold a seat, and I know the 10 seats are almost filled. If you're serious about this and you hold enough dinar that you want to be invested in the stock exchange portion of it with George and April, I'm not going to be a part of it per se because I'm not skilled enough in this. But they have some super smart people that'll be in it. I'll be a shareholder, right, babe? But I just won't be a seated member, right? That's how it works.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I've got another call real quick, babe. Babe, let me answer this call. We'll get you right back on the line for more info.
Okay, bud.
Bye.
Okay. Call from Chris.
Hey, you're live, Chris.
Hello?
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Good. How you doing, Chris?
Doing pretty good, sir. Pretty good.
Chris, are you the one that John recommended?
Yes, I am. I am John's friend. He asked me to call in real quick and kind of give you a little bit of my story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Floor is yours, my brother.
I'm sorry, I can barely hear you. Say that one more time.
The floor is now yours.
Okay, perfect. So, I met John nearly 2 years ago, and he suggested to me to look into a currency investment, and he suggested the dong. Now, I went ahead and did my own, research, look into it, and I went ahead to go with that, right? The dong. And, over the course of time, we've had some communication back and forth. He tells me things, I tell him things, and we're just, keeping track of this, among other things, of course, because I had my friend John, but also, look at the currency.
Mm-hmm.
The last several months, I switched my approach, and I actually called Citibank. And majority of the time when I called Citibank, it was about the dinar.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me just the rate that we all come to know and not love, I guess, the low rate. But there was 2 separate occasions where I called Citibank, and the rates were drastically different. And on one of those occasions, I specifically said Iraqi dinar, and the guy read back to me 640,000, and that would be for 1 million Iraqi dinar. That would be transferred to USD, 640,000 USD.
So parts per million was basically 66.6040 parts per million, or parts per dollar, really.
So the easiest way I can describe it, you may have a different lingo, is 1 million Iraqi dinar equated to 640,000 USD.
So 64 cents. The rate was basically 64 cents.
Correct. I got a call back from them later, a few minutes later, from a woman who sounded a little bit annoyed, saying that he shouldn't have told me that there was a mistake, and then they went back to the regular rate of what it was at that time.
Did you write down their name?
No, I did not.
And how long ago was this?
So this particular event happened in late September.
September. Okay.
Uh-huh. September this year?
Last year, 2018, right?
2018.
Yeah, 2018.
And that was Citi or Wells or who?
Citibank.
City.
Can you tell me what city?
I'm in LA. Oh, what city?
What city did you
call?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, LA, Chicago, New York.
It was LA.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And are you an account holder at this bank?
LA. Huh?
Are you an account holder at this bank?
No, I'm actually not. I just decided to call them because I knew they had taken dinar. So I told you, this is random. I'm not some expert. I just randomly called.
Right.
That's dope, Chris. Chris, that's awesome.
It gets better than that.
Okay.
It gets better than that.
Well, come on, brother. Lay it on
I
me.
mean, I call again a few more times. And, it's nothing. Just mundane, regular. And I would say I wouldn't give it more than a month and a half later. Boom, it happens again. But this time, instead of 1 million Iraqi dinar to 640,000, it goes 1 million Iraqi dinar to 3.3 million USD.
Hold on, Chris. Chris. Read me that number one more time.
It was 1 million Iraqi dinar. It became $3.3 million USD.
Wow, so that's $3.30.
$3,300,000.
Right. So that means $3.30.
I've heard
the equation right there.
Yeah.
And then once again, I got the that was a mistake. Please, forgive us. This time I challenged them. I said, hey, this happened before. They said they asked me who it was, and unfortunately I did not write the name down again. My bad. It caught me off guard. And I didn't have that name on hand for them. But they said, that's our bad. I'm sorry. This is not the way it's supposed to be. And then they gave me the regular rate, and then they brushed me off the phone, and that was it. I have not been personally into the dinar. I've only been into the dong. That's only where I've gone. If anyone wants to ask me, why aren't you buying dinar? I would just say I've only gone to the dong. That's it.
Wow.
I have no reason to lie. I don't know any of you guys. This is 100%.
No, this is totally unsolicited. I mean, I don't know you. I have no clue who you are. I mean, honestly, you're a person that, you know, you said you're going to call. You called. I appreciate your call. I'm not going to laugh at you or say anything crazy to you. I totally appreciate this. I mean, you're being very candid and very open and very honest, and I appreciate it.
That's the only way to be, man, because at the end of the day, we're all here to get the blessing at the end of the result. So for me lying is going to make me cool or make me any money. That's not going to do anything. I'm a very candid guy. I'm very candid.
You sound like a very nice guy. I hope that as you continue with these calls, and especially this major metropolitan city of LA, and if you get something and you would please let us know, please.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and John keeps me in the loop too. He definitely keeps me in the loop and helps me out because I sometimes try to step away from it a little because I find myself getting a little bit anxious, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But John does a good job of kind of reassuring me and telling me things that kind of help me out. Like, hey, Chris, be patient, man. Don't worry about it. Don't get too caught up. Take a step away from it a little bit. Just take a step. Take a breath.
You got to, man.
I appreciate the way he kind of what's the word? He kind of like left like a mattress, a nice soft mattress for me to land on, so I don't just face plant.
I like that, man. I like that analogy.
Every news detail.
Well, I just hope you continue listening to the show, watching it, and keeping us updated. Okay, Chris?
All right, man. Much appreciated.
I much appreciate you, and thank you for calling also. And please, if you call dates, if you hear any more info, would you let us know?
I definitely will. I have the number saved now.
Cool, man. Thank you, and let us know, please.
All right.
Have a good one, brother. Bye. Wow, we've had, okay, do you want me to call them out? Yeah, babe, would you want to call back and tell them?
She put the email in the group, but you could.
Hey, you guys, I can't stress this enough. I'm going to be totally involved in the investment group from my own standpoint, being, you know, that I think it's going to be another great winner is going to be the ISX and having the opportunity to be involved in stocks and trading. I've told you guys 2 articles a day, which involve security companies and auditors that deal specifically with this type of thing. I think it's very important that we take advantage of every opportunity.
I feel like I got to go to Memorial City tomorrow.
You do?
Nah, I'll tell you later.
She ain't lying. She going. She's a closet currency buyer, y'all. Don't listen to her. She probably got truckloads of the stuff out back.
Hush, I don't.
Okay, Sandra Sprill, why are you confused? Why are you confused? Size of a mustard seed. Yeah, that's Faith. Chris called Bruce's group. I don't know who Bruce is. Would someone please educate me on who this Bruce is? And tell Bruce to call. Can Bruce call? Who's Bruce?
I don't know. What are you talking about?
It's something about Bruce's group. Bruce, call.
That's probably in connection with what Rachel said.
Yeah, I mean, if you know Bruce, if any one of y'all know Bruce, would you please tell Bruce to call in to tell us what his group does and how it will help these denarians such as myself understand what a group will, you know, I mean, the information they get and how it's dispersed and stuff like that, because we don't know. And we're just trying to have an understanding. We're not trying to belittle anybody or make fun of people. We're just trying to have a better understanding of how we can maximize or have a gross margin on all of our investment, because we all want the same thing. I just appreciate them sharing the stories. Yeah, Shakir Brooks, the value will go up or down because if it's traded on the Forex markets, that's how currency works. It has a value and it loses value and it goes up and it goes down. I'm weak right now. Octavia's weak. Corey, I don't think she can get you in her group, but I don't know. I would have the same benefits as a group. I don't know any advantageous point of being in a group. If someone could please educate me on what a group would do for you that you can't do for yourself.
Well, they probably think about it. How, depending on the size of the group, negotiated the exchange rate or the rate.
The spread. They have a better. Yeah, but at that point, I mean, the buying power of a group would have to be immense.
We don't know that.
It's unknowable at this point. I don't know.
But whatever it is, they're going to.
John just said there's an admirals group.
And see from.
Hold on, babe. We'll talk about that in a minute. I just want the right info. I am a man of God. I know he has all the answers. But if someone says they know something, just think they should get it right. I'm a government worker and was looking forward. S. Dot, I don't know what you're talking about, brother. The info I've given you is all that I know. If you guys want me to tell you why I can't divulge to you why what I want to tell you I can't tell you, I'll tell you why. Because I can't prove it. I have no documentation of it. If I had documentation of it to the point where I could prove it to you, I would tell you. There's no reason to hide it. Because everybody wants the same blessing. I'm not the Intel guy. I'm not Intel guy. That's BS. I'm not a guru. Somebody called me a kangaroo. I'm more of a kangaroo than a guru. All I am is a guy that collects a bunch of articles and tries a bunch of dots so that you guys feel more comfortable. And if somebody comes on here and tells you that this is going on or that's going on, I think it's just not only my right to give them respect, I think it's my duty to give them that respect and the opportunity to share their story, because at least they had the courage and the knowledge to call in. I can't say this for a lot of people that just sit here and be, it's easy to be a critic. It takes a lot of bravery to call. A lot of people don't. My shout out to Rachel, shout out to Chris. Metroid, I know you probably tried to call in. I couldn't catch you. Thank you guys. All of you guys, first of all, are awesome. Non-disclosure. Patricia, what does that mean? Does breach her non-disclosure? I don't know. There's a lot of group talk going on.
Yeah, they're probably talking amongst each other. That's why I tried to first isolate.
I have 4 minutes. So in this last 4 minutes, does somebody want me to tell you story?
No.
I do have a thought process that I think a lot of you guys probably wouldn't really want to hear about, but I want to talk about Zimbabwe for a minute. What scares me about Zimbabwe right now is an investment, because what happened when they went over to Russia and basically went over and signed a bunch of MOUs with absolutely nothing but
MOU,
memorandums of understanding with Russia. I heard a lot of rumors out there that people were talking about that these were like the gospel of all gospel and that they had sold out to the Russians, and they didn't. All they did was go over and ask for some loans. You got to understand that Zimbabwe is in such a bad way, not just for basic human services and food, but for everything else, that they're going around the world, that they're having to beg money for money when they're one of the richest places in the world. I pray for Zimbabwe. I pray for their people. I pray for the Vietnamese that they get a fair shake. I pray for the Iraqis to get a fair shake. But to say that the Zim had a stronger foothold today than yesterday, it was weakened by them going over to Russia, because they've already sold off basically 50% of their mineral rights to China. I don't believe it strengthened the position. I believe it hurt it. I want every one of you guys to know that I truly appreciate you. I want you guys to all know that you're welcome to call in. A lot of y'all call in after the fact. We're sitting here, by ourselves, and then all of a sudden the phone rings, and I apologize that we can't answer. I hear you, LaGeorge. I want to pay off some debt too. Scott, this is a chat that opens up every Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. At 9 on Mondays, on 7 on Wednesdays, and 7 on Fridays. You guys, we are 1 minute from closing, and I think that we've tried to answer everybody. Oh, Rachel said she didn't sign NDA. Good. So there's no violation. How much is that? 10 million? $1 million dinar worth right now is $11.90.
$11.90.
Well, it's 1,190 dinar equals $1. How much is it? $1 million dinar? It's $936 basically sold.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Well, y'all, it looks like that's it. Oh, I choose life. No, Bruce, Mr. Brando. I don't know who Bruce is. I choose life. I don't know who Bruce is. It's the Dinar Guru, Bruce. Well, tell the Dinar Guru to call me. If Bruce is a good source, I'm open to any source. I'm not closed-minded. to any person, 365, Nanu, Bruce, BGG, if you're a part of a Facebook group or whatever, if you've got the cojones to call and talk NAR, call. I'm open to everything. I'm not a guru. I'm interested in our investment and want to learn and benefit just like you do. And with that, it's 10 p.m. No, Mr. It wasn't you and me and John already talked about. Okay, S. Dot, I got you, bro. Northwest. Yes, Northwest. You're the one that calls me a kangaroo, and I love you.
Northwest.
Northwest, right here. NW. You're not a kangaroo. She always calls me names.
Oh.
They always say blessings. They're sweet people. Shout out to Houston. Shout out to Portland. Shout out to San Diego. Y'all, that's it. Good night. Oh, and shout out every city that's out there listening, from Fiji to Ecuador to
Australia.
Australia.
Where's that? I can't remember where that one lady's from. Someplace else.
God bless all of you and good night. Get rest. We'll talk later.